Well. Since the opposing force video got demonetized, instead of a well-fed fanboy, I am now a communist fanboy. I guess we'll have to make the videos more approachable, if you know what I mean. Anyhow, welcome to Blue Shift No Damage Run, where you don't get hit. Ever. You know, when I was making this poll, I wasn't expecting Blue Shift to win, but here we are apparently. People want to see me suffer in Gearbox games even more. Regardless, the rules, or rather the rule, is to not get hit, and when I get hit, I have to reload the game. That's all. Also, we're playing on hard. So I skipped the tram ride via host timeframe command because I don't know where the game proper begins due to weird naming scheme of Blue Shift maps. We get our Kevlar vest and the handgun, as well as info that some ad hacks need our help in a very difficult task of pushing a button for elevator to work. And as soon as it works, the Black Mesa incident starts. Wowee, how fortunate. At least I won't have to listen to those poor scientists. One concussion later, we found ourselves in the first chapter where the real game begins, namely duty calls. We get straight into removing the zone fauna, and this time it's mostly hound eyes and headcrabs. After that we find a scientist who tells us that the only way out of this place is to go through the canals, which is marvelous. It wouldn't be a Half-Life game without sewers. You know, now I'm kinda starting to understand why CV has a sewer counter. But before that we are introduced to Romanians, who are a major problem in this challenge. See, their attack is side-based, and often it becomes really difficult to tackle them adequately, and the prime example is here, as I am forced to get behind cover here, and behind that barrel over here. You can tell already I have played that. Also, what doesn't help is that hard makes their attacks faster, therefore I have a lesser opportunity to hide. Later on we solve a very difficult puzzle and finally get into those godforsaken sewers. In there I obtain a shotgun, and soon enough we encounter what I'm pretty sure are the only zombies in Blue Shift, as well as bull squids, which came to be one of the more annoying enemies in this playthrough because of their tankiness and the fact that they mostly appear in confined spaces. You make the waste disposal crushers boom, and land in the next chapters, Captive Fright. Oh my god, it's so hot that I'm unironically wearing a skirt, Jesus Christ. Captive Fright offers more of the same, but this time around it has the advantage of including ATCU to the mix. So the chapter starts with me arriving on the surface and choice between going into the Truck of Doom, wink wink, or going to the tunnel where I obtained the metal to surpass the weapon gear. Alright, here we go, the metal to surpass the weapon to surpass.
The metal to surpass weapon gear.
And move on to aforementioned tunnels. In there I was bullied by bull chickens and headcrabs. You know, this game is easy until the ground. Come on! And the basement was basically more of the same, but I was more aggressive with taking out the alien threat. Speaking of, this is where ATCU makes its first appearance, as two of their members are casually committing war crimes on poor Harold. Of course, the bozo has to give out his monologue before he kicks the bucket, and as soon as he flatlines, a door opens revealing a soldier. Also, did you know that you can kind of sequence break and already get into the abandoned part of the Black Mesa? No, really, the game even acknowledges that, which for a Half-Life game is actually impressive. By the way, did I mention that before recording this video I've never finished Blue Shift? Oh, worry about it, this entire playthrough, which only took 2 hours by the way, was recorded live on my Discord server, so you know, not pushing you to join a dead server, but... Join the server, we are streaming the Ultra Kill. Anyway, Harold gave us a hint that he and his colleagues, including Dr. Rosenberg, wanted to GTFO out of the facility via an old teleporter in the abandoned part of Black Mesa that I've mentioned previously. However, there is a problem, as the Grunts kidnapped Dr. Rosenberg and other scientists and are keeping them in some freighters, and in order to get to him I need to get past through like 5 arenas filled with hit scanners. I rely on my revolver to one-shot grunts, use choke points and abuse the weakness of them having a brain aneurysm every time a grenade lands in the radius of about 500 kilometers. Overall, this section is not exactly about skill or creativity, it's more about being patient more than anything else. And since the arenas are visually all the same, I'll just go over the highlights. Now you might be asking, why am I doing this? And the answer is pretty simple. I'm going in and out of the map to reset their AI. Oh no!
Holy shit! You got nuked.
Also, two of them are
Wow.
literally frozen over. Look at that poor bastard. What? What? Whoa! Whoa!
Can you freeze this one?
Okay, that's... Okay, I'm going to give Gearbox a pass on that. That's awesome.
What the hell? Oh my god!
He just is a... Okay.
Dun-dun-dun. My copy of Half-Life Blue Shift is counted. Kid, you got one shot in my dude. What the fuck?
Sam. Now, once that is done and dusted, I escort Rosenberg to the elevator and meet up with his friends, who after a long-ass exposition that I skipped via the old reliable host time frame, lands me on Zen, and thus in the new chapter, Focal Point. Zen exploration is generally smooth, aside from one, maybe two difficult parts located on floating islands, as Gearbox spawns 3 Romanians, which due to lack of cover, are more painful to deal with than you not subscribing to the channel. Honestly, I kinda like what Gearbox did to Zen, it reminds me of what Crowbar Corrective did years later. Eventually we got to the focuser and we set it up much to displeasure of Zanian forces, and after an escape sequence we got to the exit where we once again are exposed to the boring narrative of Rosenberg, which leads us to the de facto penultimate chapter, Power Struggle. This one is pretty good, honestly. We got a good mix of ATCU fights as well as Zen forces and fauna, including the only alien grunts on Earth in the whole expansion. After powering up the generators, Rosenberg says that it's not enough and we need more power! And as such, we are sent once again down below to power up a battery. 2 minutes of tedious exploration and getting stuck later, we'll land in the next chapter, A Leap of Faith, which is just one map in which we press the button when the game tells us to until we kill Stefanov's engineer body, and then we jump into the teleporter ourselves. And that was Blue Shift. Please don't ever make me play this ever again, please.